Today we have a book named The Little Snowman in Town, a bedtime story for children. Today we have a book named The Little Snowman in Town, a bedtime story for children. I think they're so pretty. I hope you guys really enjoy it. I love it. Please give this video a like if you enjoy it, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories. Thank you, reading. So, here we go. The Little Snowman in Town story is a very wonderful story for children. This is a story about Little Snowman. All the people gathered a little stuff from their house and made a very beautiful snowman. All the people of this town also took care of this snowman. When Christmas comes, everyone enjoys it together. Read the full story to know more how an old man helps prevent the townspeople's snowmen from melting. The Little Snowman in Town story begin. 1st of December morning in one very big town, everyone was suddenly awakened from his Christmas dreams by the joyful ringing of bells in every tower and steeple. When the townspeople looked out of their windows, they saw a white carpet of snow all over the ground. Every street lamp wore a white robe, and every picket on every fence wore a funny little snow cap. And rolling down the snowy street, behind two hard-working men who were clearing a path with their shovels, was a long convertible being, driven by His Honor, the mayor. It was time, there was no doubt about it now, for the birth of the littlest snowman. The people dashed out of their houses, following the mayor's car to a house that stood on Winter Avenue. There, in a yard, they saw a small boy, the only one in town who knew how to make the littlest snowman. He was just putting the last bit of snow into place. Around him were many helpers. Grandfather Squirrel held the littlest snowman's old brown hat. Reuben Rabbit had the red handle of a broken kitchen spoon, which would soon be the littlest snowman's mouth. Mr. and Mrs. English Sparrow carried 2 pieces of coal for the eyes. And Marmaduke Mouse had a blue marble, which would be the nose. Most important of all was a candy heart, on which was lettered "I love you truly," held by the little golden-haired girl from next door. As soon as the littlest snowman's heart was pressed gently into place beneath the second bottle-top button of his vest, the mayor made his speech of welcome. Then the crowd paraded to the park in the center of town. There, the biggest Christmas tree to be found in the far forest of the far north was decorated with thousands of ornaments and glittering tinsel. The littlest snowman pressed a switch, and the biggest Christmas tree was instantly lighted by many-colored light. Then the weatherman stepped forward. He was as long and as thin as the glass on a thermometer, and on his tall silk hat was a weather vane. On the end of a watch chain across his vest was a turnip-sized barometer. The weatherman said, "I predict that it will start to snow again on Christmas Eve, and that we will have an old-fashioned white Christmas this year." Everyone agreed that this was the best forecast the weatherman had ever made. Some evenings later, when the stars were twinkling brightly, the littlest snowman received a special delivery letter by helicopter pigeon inviting him to attend the annual Snowman's Snowball at Town Park. The famous snowball was already well underway when the littlest snowman arrived. He lost no time in joining the snow ladies and snow gentlemen who were waltzing gracefully to the sleigh bell music. Then, when he had had enough of dancing, he helped himself to some ice water from the punch bowl on the refreshment table, and also to some appetizing colored icicles. Suddenly, over the music and voices of the dancers, a scream was heard from one of the snow girls. The girl shrieked, "Look at the snake!" All the snow people turned and stared at the large thermometer which hung on a tree. "Snake," in Snow People's language, meant the long red line which went up and down on the thermometer. The Snow Girl again squealed, "The snake is crawling up." And it was. The snake was already wiggling well above the freezing mark. Snowman cried, "I'm melting! I'm defrosting!" Town people shouted, "Hurry! Let's go back to our yards and pull the snow blankets over our heads." With each fat little foot leaving a puddle of water behind him, the littlest snowman slushed homeward sadly. For the next few weeks, the red snake in the thermometer never crawled down below the freezing mark, and the littlest snowman became thinner and thinner. At last, the Red Cross was called in. They built a hospital of ice blocks in the littlest snowman's yard, and day and night he was tended by doctors and nurses. On the day before Christmas, the littlest snowman had grown terribly thin. However, just when it was thought that he would melt completely, a howling cold wind came into town from the North Pole. The red snake in the thermometer dropped with a hiss. Now the littlest snowman went forth to wish his fellow snow people a happy holiday. He wobbled up and down the streets on his thin little snow feet, but nowhere could he find a single snow person. They had all melted. The only person he could find was Mr. Weatherman, who was crying great tears. The weatherman sobbed, "It isn't going to snow, not a single flake. Oh, people will never forgive me, especially the children." The littlest snowman said, "That's not so. Tomorrow is Christmas, and it is always a kind, generous, loving time. Besides, I have an idea for making it snow, so come along with me." They walked across the park to the ice cream and ices factory. Here they bought every last gallon of flavored ices in sight and had it delivered to the foot of the biggest Christmas tree. The littlest snowman to the weatherman, "Now just watch me." First, he ate a gallon of strawberry ice, then a gallon of pistachio ice, and then the orange, lemon, lime, and chocolate flavors, too. With every gallon he ate, the littlest snowman grew fatter and fatter and fatter. At last he had enough and climbed to the very top of the biggest Christmas tree, looking as fat and colorful as a cloud at sunset. Up there, high above the town, the north wind was so strong that the biggest Christmas tree bent and swayed. The weatherman shouted, "Come down! You must climb down or you'll be blown to pieces." The littlest snowman cried, "Of course I will! And just think of the beautiful snow all the children will have for Christmas." Even as he spoke, the fierce north wind began to pluck the littlest snowman as though he were a Christmas goose or turkey. Flakes of every flavor and color flew all over, giving the town the most beautiful Christmas Eve it had ever seen. But on Christmas Day, there was no littlest snowman at all. Oh, but the townspeople could not have that. They hunted through the drifts, gathering every white flake, and brought them back to the little boy on Winter Avenue. He went to work, and in no time at all, there was the littlest snowman again, as good as new. In fact, he was better than new, because the little boy had added 4 gallons of vanilla ice to fatten him up. And when the candy heart was discovered to be still on top of the biggest Christmas tree, the townspeople lifted the littlest snowman up through the branches and put his heart back in place right there. All Christmas Day and all Christ, Mass week, the littlest snowman sat there with a jolly smile on his happy face. His candy heart beat "I love you truly" so loudly that it could be heard in every corner of town. And, after all, as everyone said, isn't "I love you truly" just another way of saying Merry Christmas? The end. Good job, friends. Thank you so much for reading with me. Bye, I'll see you next time.